Throughout the game's history, there have been a number of hunter pets that were never intended to be possible for hunters to tame. Some of these closely resembles ordinary pets from their pet family, only with slight differences. Some were more unique, and some were so different that they didn't even resemble a pet at all. In this video, we will explore what is likely the most extreme example of one of these. This is the story of the deviate raptor and planestrider, also known as the fire patch on the ground pet. The story takes place in the Southern Barrens, which is one of the post-Cataclysm versions of the famous classic zone called the Barrens. With Cataclysm's update of the old world came new scenery, as well as new creatures and importantly, new quests. As players began trying out the updated and in many cases newly added quests, they came across a questline that took place in the newly updated Barrens zone. For Alliance players, this questline would start in the Southern Barrens, while Horde players had to start out in the Stone Talon Mountains just nearby. Around halfway through this long questline, the player came across a quest called Sowing a Solution, in which the player was sent out to cure some of the zone's wildlife of a mutation. In order to achieve this, the player received an item called Soothing Seeds, which the player would apply to planestriders or raptors in the area. This would cause one of three things to happen. Either the animal is cured and walks off, the animal is enraged and attacks the player, or the animal simply explodes. Upon seeing the latter of these outcomes, hunters were reminded of something that happened just one expansion prior to this. When a wolf that had the ability of turning itself into a Worgen would retain its Worgen form after the tame if the taming process ended at the very instant that the wolf transformed. Very soon after this, hunters began attempting to do the same with the planestriders and raptors, but unlike the Worgen, this would actually require external help. This is because the time between the player applying the item and when the explosion would happen was too short compared to the quite long cast time of the Tame Beast ability. Luckily, this problem could easily be solved by having a friend do the quest and apply the Soothing Seeds at the correct time. The hunter would finish the taming process right as the animal exploded and would then have to revive their pet. Upon being revived, the pet would either have its original form, in which case they would simply have to try again, or if done correctly, the hunter would have a pet that was nothing more than a patch of fire on the ground. The pet would then function as either a planestrider or a raptor, depending on which version the hunter tamed. However, most hunters chose the raptor version, as this was a better option for damage at the time. As having an actual patch of fire available in the collection of possible hunter pets was pretty silly, it was to no surprise when Blizzard wanted to fix this bug. Initially, Blizzard issued a hotfix that was intended to make this tame impossible, but while it did make it harder, it was actually still possible to tame this for a few more days. After this, on patch 4.2.2, the bug was finally fixed, making it no longer possible to retain the exploded version of these pets. When hunters who had tamed these pets prior to the fix logged into the game after this patch, the model was reverted to the original unexploded version, and this marked the end of the tameable patch of fire on the ground. Unlike earlier, where Blizzard fixed bug transforming pets the easy way by simply making them untameable, this time the core issue would be fixed, and both the raptor and planestriders are still tameable to this day. There have been some other transforming pets like this one, and they were all tamed in more or less the same manner, with some requiring the help of other players, while some didn't. The first, and in my opinion the most important of these, is the Worgen named Garble from the Wrath of the Lich King expansion, which is the subject of one of my earlier videos. If you would like to watch it, you can click the screen or find a link to it in the description of this video. I hope you learned something from this video and that you found it interesting, and thank you for watching.